everyone. I hope everybody's doing really well. This is the first video I've made in a few days. I had some neck trouble for a couple days, still a little bit ongoing, but feeling much better today. So I needed some quiet time to rest and work on my own practice and take some good long walks in the sun. For today's practice, it's going to be a gentler practice today, a little more on the rejuvenating, relaxing end of things, but with some focus on some thoracic mobility, a little bit of hip mobility. For today's practice, I will be using some props. So if you don't have a bolster, you're going to want 3 to 4 blankets, or say 2 to 3 blankets and some towels, large towels. If you do have a bolster, you should be good with just 2 blankets and a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, I'll just go ahead and show you right now how to make a little makeshift bolster. I have a Mexican blanket here, which is a pretty large blanket. Not everybody will have, but most of us will have. Even the blanket from your bed should be okay. So what I'm going to do to make a makeshift bolster is just open up my blanket, and depending on how much length you need, this is pretty long. For what I need for most of this practice, we could go with the short end of the blanket and then just roll it up. Just basically want it for underneath the thoracic spine. So the reason why these blankets are so great for yoga is because they hold their shape. Your blanket's probably not going to hold shape the same way that this blanket does. So what you could do is tie a couple little straps around your blanket so that it stays in place. But if you do have a bolster, then that is great. And the other thing too with some of the mobility work that I'm doing is we always have bolsters in class. You can easily do still quite a bit of chest opening and T-spine mobility with just a simple rolled up little towel. Even for many of us, that's all we really need to get the same effect. But if you do have a bolster, then that's great. If you don't, then you can add in some blankets as you see fit. I'm also going to be using a couple of blocks as well. Same idea here. If you don't have blocks at home, you could just easily take a couple of large books, or you could take some smaller books, stack them, and again tie them together with a shoelace or something like that to give you some support during your practice. So for this first pose, I'm going to use my bolster. I'm just going to have my bolster lengthwise on the mat, and I'm also going to have a blanket for underneath the back of my neck. So that's going to go at the top of my bolster. Whenever you come to lay down, you just want to give yourself some space between the back of your pelvis and the base of your bolster or blanket or towel. So when I lay down, I just want the mid-back to come to rest over top of the blanket or the bolster, and then pull that blanket underneath the back of my head. You can get away without having a blanket here, but if you have a stiffer upper back, what's going to happen is you're going to do this. Your chin is going to be really thrust up towards the ceiling. It's going to be harder to breathe. Not a nice position for the neck to be in for an extended period of time. So if you have a blanket or a towel to put underneath the back of your neck, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable throughout the practice. You can open your arms up into a letter A kind of a shape for now, just a nice passive shape, but bend your elbows enough that you can completely rest the forearms on the floor, and take your knees into a bent position. You can walk your feet a little wider than your hips and allow the knees to knock in towards each other. And slowing the breath down. And begin to notice the breath and see where it wants to just naturally land as you breathe in slowly through the nose. And then begin to direct the breath down into the abdomen so that you're filling out the belly as you breathe in. And allowing the belly to soften back as you breathe out. And slow, steady breath in. Feeling the belly and even the low back expand. And a complete breath out, allowing the belly, low back to soften inward. And your next breath fills out the belly, comes into the lower ribs and lengthens the sides of your waist. Exhaling, ribcage narrows, belly softens back. Another slow breath in, expanding the belly, widening the ribcage. And your complete exhale narrows the ribs, softens the belly back. Two more breaths here. Feeling the mid-back pressing into the bolster or blanket behind you. And your exhale, feeling those front ribs soften, belly muscles soften, letting the upper arms get heavier towards the floor. One more breath in. And a complete breath out. Turn the palms down to face the floor, and then take the hands down a little closer towards your hips. Pausing here with the arms, the shoulders are rotated inward here. Taking a breath in, and a full breath out. Your next inhale, begin to reach the hands forward until they float up and off of the floor. Reaching the arms all the way up towards the ceiling and then back behind you as you exhale, circling the arms all the way back down towards your hips. Turning the palms down. As you inhale, float the hands forward and up. As you exhale, reach the arms wide, slowly circling them all the way back to the beginning. And continuing with that motion, inhaling as you lift the arms up and back. Exhaling as you circle the arms all the way back to the beginning. You may notice, if you're watching, that I'm hovering the hands above the floor. Typically in class, not always, but typically I do allow the hands to glide along the floor as we're doing this, but I'm on a carpeted surface, so that's not going to feel very good. You're welcome to glide the hands along the floor if you're on a harder surface. But also this hovering action of the arms above the floor as you stretch the arms wide is allowing your pecs to contract in a lengthened position, which is also a great way to open up the chest. Rather than just a passive stretch, this is more of an eccentric contraction or active lengthening of the chest muscles rather than a full-on passive stretch. We'll take two more circles here. And then pausing here, just take a moment to let the backs of your forearms come back to rest, maybe a little higher up than they started, coming into more of a letter T shape, but still allowing the elbows to bend enough that you can let the whole forearm rest on the floor. Two breaths here. turn the palms down to face the floor. Shift your hips off to one side and then roll to one side. Press yourself up and grab for another blanket. You could also use 2 folded up towels. I'm going to open up this blanket until it's just folded in half one time, so this nice big long shape. And then I'm going to roll it lengthwise into a roll. I'm going to come back into that same shape that I was in already, laying over the bolster. This time though, I'm going to take the soles of my feet together and the knees wide. I've still got that space between my hips and the bolster. And then we'll take the blanket roll on top of your feet. So the very center of the roll on top of the feet. And then scoot the sides of the blankets underneath the sides of your thighs. Now, if you were using 2 folded up towels or 2 rolled up towels, rather than just having the blanket come across my feet, I would just take the towels and just shimmy them underneath the sides of my hips so that when I let my legs rest into the towels, I'm not experiencing a high degree of stretch. It's okay, this isn't a full-on restorative practice, so it's okay for there to be some stretch in the inner thighs and a little bit of compression perhaps in the hips, but nothing too extreme, because we are going to hang out in this shape for a few minutes. And then from here you can walk your hands back, begin to lower yourself back down onto the bolster, and readjust as needed. You might scoot your tailbone a little further forward and readjust those towels underneath the sides of your hips. And then coming back into that letter T-like shape, pausing here for a moment. Coming back to slow the breath down, allowing the body to rest, letting your arm bones rest heavy. For many of us, we're probably going to feel a lot of tension through the chest, maybe more tension than we're used to. If you work in an office or have a job that requires a lot of forward action through your arms, we tend to be tight in this region anyway. But with so many of us at home on the couch, on our devices, on the computer probably way more frequently than normal, you may notice some changes in your body, and it's important to help keep those parts of the body moving well. Now I'm allowing my legs to rest completely on the support of the blankets on either side of my hips. We're going to keep that passivity through the lower body, and then coming into the upper body, we'll sweep the arms down towards the hips once again, and then raise the arms up towards the ceiling. Reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling so much that you could feel the shoulder blades broadening or widening on the back. And then reverse that, draw your shoulder blades back towards each other, plugging the shoulders into the body, feeling a little squeeze through the space between the shoulder blades. And then again, reach up through the fingers, feel the shoulder blades slide and glide along the ribs. You'll feel the chest muscles contract. And then draw the shoulder blades back into the bolster and towards one another, retracting the shoulder blades. Reach up through the fingers. This action of the shoulder blades wrapping and coming forward on the ribs is protraction. And then as we draw the shoulder blades back towards one another, we have retraction. Just a very basic motion through the shoulder blades to get things moving. Two more little protraction and retraction glides with the shoulders. And then from here, I'm going to come back into more of a neutral shape with the shoulders. So I'm not actively reaching the fingers up or squeezing them towards one another. They're simply resting on the back and onto the bolster. From here, let's find a ballet dancer type of roundness through the arms. So your hands are above your chest, fingertips, the middle fingertips can come to touch, and there's just a soft bend in the elbow. I'm sure there's a fancy name for this, but I just don't know what it is. Take a slow breath in and a complete breath out. On your next inhale, begin to widen the hands apart. Keep that soft bend in the elbows as you open your arms up towards the floor. And then as you exhale, begin to reach the fingertips back up towards one another, feeling the chest muscles engage. Inhale to open the arms wide, keeping that soft bend at the elbows. And once you get to about shoulder height, the arms are going to want to straighten. You can take the backs of the hands to the floor, fingernails to the floor. Reach out through all your fingers and then allow the fingers to curl, allow the wrists to bend a little, elbows to bend as you slowly take the arms back towards each other. Inhaling to open up through the arms. And exhaling to close up through the chest and arms. We'll take 3 more here, using your inhale as you open up through the arms and chest. Your exhale as you close, and notice the engagement in the chest. We want a contraction here. Inhale as you open, lengthening the muscles in the chest. Exhaling as you close. And just noticing as well for these final couple of movements, if you have more tension on one side of your chest than the other, or if perhaps there is some new areas, if you have a lot of awareness of this area already, if there are some newly formed regions of tension or increased sensation. Always just important to keep that connection to knowing where our body is at. One more time, taking the hands back together. And then opening the arms up. Take a moment to pause. Let the backs of your forearms come back to the floor. Come back to your breath for a moment. Really allow the weight of your exhale to allow the body to rest heavier over the support. One more time, we'll sweep the arms down towards the hips and then reach the arms up towards the ceiling once again. This time I'll continue to reach the arms back behind me, stretching out through the fingertips. As I reach the fingertips back behind me, I'm going to slowly reach the arms further towards the wall so that I can feel the shoulder blades sliding up my back once again. I feel the muscles in the shoulders contract. And then glide the hands down, or the shoulder blades down the back. And then again, reach through the fingers until you feel the shoulder blades gliding up the back and you feel your traps engage. And then slowly gliding the arms back down just a little bit, feeling the shoulder blades glide down the back. Feeling the shoulder blades reach and lift up as you stretch the arms back. Glide the shoulder blades back down, widening the space between neck and shoulder. And then one more time, reach up through the shoulder blades. From here, stay with that reach, that lift of the shoulder blades up the back, and then bend your elbows and bind your hands to your elbows and let them rest on top of the blanket or bolster behind you. Pausing here. I'm hanging on to my forearms or elbows with my hand, and I'm continuing to reach back through the forearms just like I was through the hands so that I feel that lift through the shoulder blades. I'm coming back into the breath here. Take a slow breath in and try to fill out the sides of your ribs with breath. Keeping that pressure up through the forearms on the breath out, I'll squeeze my side ribs towards my hips. Another slow breath in, pressing out through the forearms. A full breath out, hugging the ribcage in. One more breath in. And a complete breath out. Release the bind of the arms. Allow the arms to come all the way back down onto the floor. 2 more breaths here, letting the arms rest. And then reach your hands down alongside your thighs. Just assist your legs back up and out of that stretch. You can set your towels or blanket off to the side. And then walk your feet a little wider than your hips once again. Just take 2 more breaths with the knees knocking inward. A little bit of internal rotation through the hip bones to counter that external rotation you've been in for the last few minutes. Slow the breath down. And then you can heel toe the feet in towards each other, shift your hips over to one side, roll to one side, and press yourself up. Just going to switch up the orientation of this blanket here. For this next shape, you can use either your thick rolled up blanket in replace of the bolster, or a bolster and a block. You're also going to take, scratch that, you'll have one bolster or thick rolled up blanket and your block. The other option would be to just have your thick rolled up blanket here, and you could use a pillow or perhaps even a pillow on top of a book or a block. We want enough height underneath the head that our head's not going to be hanging at an angle for very long. So what I'm going to do is take the bolster. I'm going to lay down so that my rib cage is resting over the bolster, and then my block is going to come behind me, my blanket on top. For me, this feels good today. For you, you may want a bit more height, so you could take another blanket or towel or a second block if you had one. This would be also a great spot to be using a second bolster if you had one. And then resting my head here. Actually, this feels really good, so I'm going to stay here. I've got the blanket kind of tucked in to support the base of my neck, but there's a space between the blocks and the bolster for my arm bone to be resting. I'm going to take a moment to use some breath and the props to properly mobilize the sides of our ribs to allow for a little bit more movement of breath into this region. So taking your hand, whichever hand's on top, I'm starting on my left side, so my right hand's on top. Take the thumb back and the fingers forward. And then coming back into your breath. Before you start to really direct your breath, just notice where the breath naturally wants to land in your body. So for me, I notice that there is some gentle motion in the ribs, which is great. We want this part of the body to move subtly with our breath regularly, but it's a part of the body that gets really locked up. So doing this kind of work is what can help to really mobilize your rib cage, which is going to help mobilize the upper back and allow us to have fuller breaths, fuller exhales and inhales. And when we have a fuller exhale especially, it's more easy for our body to drop back into the parasympathetic or rest and digest response. So continuing to allow your hand to rest on your rib cage, let's direct the breath into the ribs here. We'll slowly breathe into the belly, but then the focus of the breath is into the sides of your ribs. So you can feel the left side of your rib pressing into the bolster, the right side of the rib lifting up into your hand. And then as you exhale, feel the right hand and the right arm lower as the rib cage lowers. Another slow breath in through the nose. Feel the ribcage lift. Complete exhale. Feeling the ribcage narrow. Make time for that little pause at the end of your breath. As you slowly breathe in, there's just a subtle pause at the end of the inhale. And then as you breathe out, finding that subtle pause once again. Slow breath in. And slow breath out. Continuing to breathe here. As you're breathing here, that slow, smooth breath, if you notice that your ribs are moving well and you no longer need the feedback of your hand on your rib, you could drape the arm overhead to open up through the side body a little bit more. You could let the arm rest right over your ear, continuing to breathe here. If that's not a comfortable shape for you to be in, you could take the arm and just rest it on your side with the hand on the belly, and then you still have a little bit of that feedback. One more breath in here. And a slow, smooth breath out, continuing to feel the motion of the ribs on the bolster. And then pressing yourself up. You might even notice already your system is down-regulated or decompressed, de-stressed, whatever you want to call it. I'm already feeling like I could go have a nap, but I can't because I'm filming this in class. So come back onto hands and knees just for a moment, and you can just go ahead and switch sides. I'm going to switch my props to the other side so that I'm still facing you guys. And then coming back to lay down on your right side, again making sure there's some space between your hips and the base of your bolster or blanket, so that when you lay down, it's the rib cage that is resting over the bolster to provide that feedback on the bottom side or the right side of your ribs, and then your arm fits in that nice little space between the blocks and the bolster. And also just a reminder too that this could be stacked up pillows or cushions, even couch cushions could do. Rolled up blankets. And coming back to rest. Also for comfort, you could put a blanket between your shins here. I forgot to mention that as well, but I feel pretty good in this shape. So I'm going to bring my hand now back onto my left side ribs. My thumb is back, my fingers are forward, just so I have lots of surface area for my ribs to be in contact with. And a slow, smooth breath in through the nose. Feeling the ribs lift up into the hand. Feeling the ribs press into the side of the bolster. And then a full exhale breath, slow and smooth through the nose. Feeling the rib cage narrow. Inhaling, rib cage expands. And exhaling, feeling the rib cage narrow. Making sure to honor that pause between the inhale and the exhale. Slow breath in. And a complete breath out. Settling into your own rhythm. You could keep your hand on your rib cage, or again drape the arm overhead, or allow the arm to rest on the side body. I'm going to take my arm overhead. That's what feels good in my body. Continuing with that slow, steady rhythm. And these don't have to be your deepest breaths. Just a slow, smooth, and rhythmic breath. And this is a great daily practice for stress reduction. When we are able to focus on our breath for even just a few minutes every day, we can really begin to train the body to come back to that state of ease with more ease. As you're continuing to breathe here, slow, smooth breath in, and slow, smooth breath out. Taking some time to scan the body and looking for areas that you might be holding on to excess tension unnecessarily. And checking in with your jaw, the muscles of the throat, the tongue. And the muscles of the face. Any gripping through the hips, fingers or toes, just letting go. After your next exhale, taking the arm back down alongside the body if it's not there already, and just pressing yourself up. We'll take this bolster away, set it off to one side, and we're going to keep a blanket, potentially one block if needed. And we're going to come right back down onto our left side again. So starting back on the first side you started with. I'm going to place my blanket over the block. I need a bit more height today just because my neck is giving me some issues, but you don't necessarily need this much height, but you're welcome to use a pillow, some blankets, or a block and blanket. Coming back onto your side, bending your knees, giving yourself a nice big bend in the knees, letting your hips stack over one another. Again, you could use a folded up blanket or a pillow between your shins here. Just grab this like so. Otherwise, you can just allow the legs to rest on top of one another as long as they comfortably touch. Coming to rest on my side, I'll take my right arm on top of my left arm. Take a full breath in and a complete breath out. On your next breath in, begin to lift up through the right arm, just to about shoulder height to start. And then on the breath out, slowly return that right arm to land onto the left. Slow breath in, reaching up through the right arm, opening up a little further than the shoulder now. And then on the breath out, watching your hand as it comes all the way back down to rest on top of the left hand. Inhale, you can watch the hand as it lifts up and reaches back behind you, feeling a nice little stretch through the chest. Exhale, feel the tension through the chest muscle as you close that right hand back onto the left. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Inhale to open, to stay. So I'm going to pause here and just hang it with my arm just hovering at about a 45. I could go further here if I wanted a bit more rotation through the thoracic spine. Right now I'm just focusing more on a nice chest stretch. Continuing to breathe here. Nice big breath into the ribs, and then on the breath out, let the right arm sort of anchor down, opening up through the chest. Another slow breath in, and a complete breath out. And from here, semicircle that right arm up and overhead, keeping the palm facing up towards the ceiling. And then you'll eventually turn the palm down to face the floor to circle the arm all the way back to the beginning again. Let's make that one nice big movement. As you inhale, open up through the arm. As you exhale, a little pause to hang out here. Continue to breathe as you stretch the arm overhead, making a nice semicircle all the way back down to the left hand. Inhaling, open up through the arm. Exhaling, a little pause to stretch the chest. And continuing with your breath in. As you circle the arm up and overhead, turning the palm down, breath out. As you slowly circle the hand back onto your left palm. One more time. Inhale to lift up through the arm. Exhale to pause and let the weight of the arm open up the chest. And continue to slowly breathe as you slowly stretch that arm, semicircle it up and overhead. Turning palm down to face the floor, slow motion on the exhale, bringing the hand all the way back to rest onto your left hand. Pausing here. And pressing yourself up to seated. To switch sides, or for you guys, you can just turn over on your side to the opposite side. For me, I'm just going to switch my props to the other end of my mat so that can still face you guys. Coming back down to rest. Right arm comes to rest on the floor, left arm comes to rest on top. Taking a slow breath in. Feel the ribcage move. And a full breath out. Your next breath in lifts the left arm up. And just about shoulder level. Then your exhale returns your left hand to the right. Your next inhale opens up through the arm, reach a little further back from the shoulder. And exhaling, feel the chest muscle engage as you slowly return the left hand to the right. Inhale, lifting up, opening up through the chest. Exhaling to close. Inhale, watching the hands you open up through the chest. And exhaling to close. One more time. Inhale to open. And pausing here to hang out with the left arm just reaching back behind you. You can take the arm all the way back to the floor if you like. Making sure that you're not creating excessive strain through any part of the body if you are doing that. One more breath in here. Using the weight of your left arm to open the chest on the exhale. Inhaling. Reaching back through the arm, then find that semicircle of the left arm overhead, coming all the way back to rotate back towards your right arm. Letting it land. Take an inhale to open up through the arm. Exhale to let the weight of the arm open the chest. And continue with the breath as you circle the arm overhead, letting the shoulder blade glide up a little, turning the palm down as you slowly come back to land the left hand on the right. Inhale to lift up through the arm. Exhaling to let the weight of the arm open the chest. Inhale, reach through the fingers towards the wall behind you as you take the arm overhead, all the way back down towards the right hand. Inhale to lift up through the arm. Exhale as you allow the weight of the arm to open the chest. Inhale as you circle the arm overhead. And allow the arm to come back to rest. We'll take a couple more here, moving on your own. And pausing to rest. And then pressing yourself back up. You can take the block away. I'm going to set it up towards the top of my mat so it's ready when I need it here shortly. We'll do one more rib mobility exercise. You can also take a blanket underneath your seat. We're going to be sitting up in a cross-legged seat. You could also be in a kneeling shape like this if you're more comfortable in this shape. Totally fine to do this exercise in. You could be seated on a blanket, cross-legged. If that's not comfortable for you, you could also come back into that kneeling shape, and you could take a rolled up blanket between your heels and your sit bones so that you have a little more support. I'm going to sit in a cross-legged seat. Coming back to sit up nice and tall. Now, if my knees were really high up here and it was really hard for me to stay with a nice tall spine, it's better to come into that kneeling shape. You could even do this exercise on a chair. Finding a nice tall spine. Reaching up through the crown of the head, coming back into the breath, into the rib cage. Taking a moment, we'll take the thumbs back and the fingers forward and just scooping the fingers around the rib cage. Slow, steady breath in, feeling the ribs expand. On the breath out, feeling the rib cage narrow. And from here, I'll make a fist with my left hand, and then I'm going to push my fist into the side of my rib cage. Stretch the right arm up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in, feeling the rib cage widen. And then on the breath out, push the fist into your ribs as you side bend to the left or towards your fist. Inhale, stacking the spine, feeling the rib cage expand. Exhale, side bend over your left fist. Feeling the rib cage narrow. Inhale, widening the ribs, lift up tall through the spine. Exhaling, narrow the ribs as you side bend over that left fist. One more time. Inhale to stack the spine. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, stack your way back up. And exhale, take both hands back onto your knees. And pausing here. Take another breath in. And a complete breath out. Taking your right hand, your right fist rather, onto your rib cage. Begin to lift up through the left arm, stretching the hand up towards the ceiling. Take a big breath in, inflating the ribs. On the exhale, push the fist into the ribs as you side bend to the right. Inhale, stack the spine back up. Exhale, press the fist into the ribs as you side bend to the right. Inhale, stack your spine. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, really push the fist into the ribs as you lean the body over the right fist. Inhale, stack the spine tall. And exhale one more time, side bending over that right wrist. Inhale, coming back to center. And exhale, let both hands come to rest back onto your thighs. And coming off of your seat, you can set the blanket off to one side. You may wish to have a blanket underneath your knees for these next few exercises. I'm on a soft surface, so I don't need any extra soft blanket underneath my knees, but go ahead and do that if you need. Coming onto hands and knees, you can tuck the toes underneath you. Root your fingertips into the floor. Keep your long spine here. Find a slow breath in, still finding that expansion through the ribs. And a complete exhale. One more breath in. And a full breath out. Your next inhale, draw a line up the wall with your tailbone. Reach the belly forward, shoulders draw down the back, look forward. Exhale, tuck the tail, push the floor away round the spine, tuck your chin. Inhale, lift up through the tail, send your heart forward, look forward. Exhale, rounding the spine, tuck the chin. Really press the floor away, find that protraction through the shoulder blades. Inhale for your cow pose. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Coming back to your neutral shape, walk your hands off of the mat just slightly to the left to start. One hand may stay on the mat, the other hand can come off, or maybe both hands come off of the mat, depending on how much side bend action you have through the spine. We're going to come back into that same motion of cat-cow, but with this side bend added in. So inhale, lifting up through the tail, lengthen the belly, heart reaches forward. Exhale, round your spine, press the floor away. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat, push the floor away, tuck the chin. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale back to your neutral spine. Walk your hands back through center, all the way over to the other side. Again, one hand may stay on the mat, or both hands may come off the mat, depending on how much side bend you have. Inhale, lift up through the tail, lengthen the belly, look forward. Exhale, rounding your spine, tuck your chin. Inhale, cow. Lift up through the tail, lengthen the belly. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale, tailbone lifts, belly lengthens, heart reaches forward. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the tail, push the floor away. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat, rounding the spine. Inhale to your neutral spine. Walk the hands back to center. I'm going to come into a kneeling shape. Just taking my sweater off. We'll take the blocks or books underneath the hands, coming back into your tabletop shape. So knees are beneath your hips, hands are beneath shoulders, but we'll have the hands resting on the blocks. Now you can totally do this without your hands on blocks, but changing the elevation of your hand just changes the poses that we're doing a little bit. Finding a nice long spine. You can walk your shin bones so that they are together, and then step your right shin bone a little heavier into the floor. And then step your left foot off to the left, sole of the foot down onto the floor. You could come up onto your heel here if needed, if that feels better in your body. My preference is to have the sole of the foot on the floor with the toes pointing forward. On your next inhale, find a little cat-cow once again. Inhaling cow, tailbone lifts, belly lengthens, heart reaches forward. Exhaling, tuck the tail, round the spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, lift through your tail, lengthen the belly, heart reaches forward. Exhale, push the floor away, tuck your chin. Inhale, back to your more neutral spine. Finding just a little bit of lift through the tailbone, more of a cow spine in the lower back. And then from here, begin to just pull the body forward, the torso forward a little, and then press your hips back. Pull the body forward and press your hips back, keeping the sit bones lifted and wide. And shifting the body forward and back. Maybe going a little further back towards your heel as the body begins to warm up. You could also keep this as a really small motion and just glide the hips forward and back a little. If you have the mobility through the hips and your left inner thigh is not getting angry with you, then you can continue to just shift forward and back, all the way right back onto your heel if it's available, or just moving a few inches forward and back. And the next time you come up, pause here, get a little heavier into your right shin bone, step your left shin back onto the mat. Okay, good. Just making sure I have enough room on this right side. So, staying here with hands onto the blocks, get heavier into your left shin bone now. Step your right foot off to the right, sole of the foot down. Finding an inhale, lift up through the tail, lengthen the belly, look forward. Exhale, push the floor away, tuck your tail, rounding your spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale. Coming back into more of a neutral spine, but then find just a little bit of a lift and spread through the sit bones. And from here, begin to just shift forward and back a little, honoring the needs of your right inner thigh this time. Our inner thigh muscles, I find, are sensitive muscles, so you really want to pay attention to the sensations. You're going to feel a stretch here for sure. It should feel good to you, though. Never push yourself into a shape where your muscles are, screaming at you. And as I begin to shift forward and back here, still keeping the sit bones lifted and spread, I might take my hips all the way back to my left heel, or again I might continue to just shift forward and back through just a few inches, whatever your body is calling for today. As I shift back, I'm still trying to keep my chest reaching forward, so I'm not rounding completely over my thigh. One more time, shifting the hips back, and forward once again, coming back into that kneeling shape. Stepping your right shin bone a little heavier onto the floor, and once again, step your left foot to the left. Now, Here, I might walk my right block a little further forward. It really depends on your body, and I'm going to take this left block away. Keeping my right hand on the right block or book. Take my hand to the chest just for a moment, my left hand over the heart. Take an inhale as you open up through the spine, reaching your left elbow up towards the ceiling. Exhale, rotate back towards the floor. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Now I'm keeping my hand on my chest for a reason. I don't want my arm to stretch way back here and make me think I'm getting more out of this shape than my spine is ready for. Keeping my hand on my chest is just ensuring that the action is coming from my spine rather than from that left shoulder. One more time, open up towards the ceiling. Now this time, reach up through the left arm. On your next exhale, as you square your chest back down towards the floor, find that nice soft elbow and continue to reach your left hand underneath you towards the right wall. Inhale to open. And exhaling, thread the needle, reach the left fingers towards the right wall. We're not letting the arm land as you could. We're making it an active T-spine mobility. Inhale to open. Exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, open. And exhale, twist to the right. And inhale, come back to center. Let your hands land on the floor. Left shin bone comes back onto the mat, and then we can switch out the blocks, the books. So I'm just going to line my left block up with where my right one was, set that one off to the side. Get heavier into your left shin bone, and then step your right foot to the right. Get heavy into your left hand comes to your chest. Take an inhale, rotate to the right elbow coming up towards the ceiling. Exhale, square the chest back towards the floor. So we take these first few rotations with the hand on the chest to really prime your T-spine so that your body begins to recognize where you want to be moving from. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. Inhale to open. Exhale, square the chest back down one more time. Inhale, open up through the chest. Reach up through the right arm and fingertips. Keep the arm stacked over the shoulder. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, round through the arm. Begin to sweep that right arm underneath the left, twisting to the left. You can bend your elbow if needed. Inhale to open. Exhale, thread the needle, stretch the right fingers underneath the left arm. Inhale to open. Exhale, stretch the hand underneath you. And take 3 more here. Noticing as you move, if you have a little more mobility on one side than you did on the side you started with. For me, this is definitely my more restricted side. My more restricted side on a good day, but I think due to that neck, rib cage stuff that's been going on with me, a little more restricted here than normal. One more time, open back up through the arm, and then land your right arm back onto the floor. Right shin bone comes back onto the floor. You can set your blocks off to the side. Coming back into a kneeling shape for a moment. Let your hands come to rest onto your thighs. You could put a little blanket roll or towel roll between your sit bones and your heels here if needed. slowing the breath down. And coming back onto hands and knees. We'll tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. And shift your weight a little heavier into your left foot. Take a slow rise up through the right leg, bend the knee, round the spine, take the knee towards the nose, step your right foot to your right thumb, and land your back knee down. You could also just simply come into a lunge shape if you don't typically practice flow and that transition doesn't work for your body. From here, coming up into a lunge, I'm going to really scoop my left glute down as I lift up through the left side of my front hip. Hands are coming onto chest or onto hips for a moment. Just pausing here to breathe. In fact, let's take the hands onto the ribs once again. And take one more breath in. And a complete breath out. Stretch the hands forward and up. Use the strength of your right foot to sort of pull your hips a little further forward, but maintain that squeeze downward through your left glute, opening up through the left hip flexor. Now, I could come and dump into my hips and my low back a lot here, but I'm not going to get nearly the stretch that you can get if you are a little more active in your stacking of the ribs over the hips, over the knee, and then really squeezing that glute down, and then just pulling yourself forward enough that you feel more sensation through that left hip. Interlace your hands, push the hands up towards the ceiling, take a big breath in. On the breath out, side bend to the right. Slow breath in. Complete breath out as you stack the spine back up. Hands surround your front foot. Squeeze your back leg straight. Palms to the floor. Step your right foot back. Come back, downward facing dog. And get a little heavier in your right foot. Slow rise of the left leg. Bend the knee. Round the spine, knee towards nose. Left foot to left thumb. Landing that back knee. Stacking your ribs over your hips. Hands come onto hips to start. You might have your hands on your hips for a moment to really feel that squeeze down, that little motion through the pelvis, that posterior pelvic tilt. Tailbone's reaching down towards the floor. Right glute is squeezing towards the back of the knee. Right front hip is lifting up. Then take your hands back onto your ribs for another moment here. Take a slow breath in. Expanding the ribs into the hands, and then on the breath out, feeling the rib cage narrow. Inhale. And a full exhale. And 2 more breaths like that, really working with your body's rhythm. And reaching the arms forward and up. Take a big breath in. Interlace your hands, and then side bend to the left, pressing out through the heel of your right hand. Slow, steady breath in. And complete breath out. 2 more breaths here. And stacking your spine. Release the hands. Take them down to either side of your front foot. Squeeze your back leg straight. Palms to the mat. Step your left foot back. Come back into your down dog. Get a little heavier in your left foot. Take a slow rise through the right leg. Bend your knee. Round your spine, knee towards nose. Right foot to right thumb. Landing your back knee. Or again, just coming into a lunge shape on the mat. Coming back up. Stacking the ribs over the hips. Stacking the hips over the back knee. And then reach your hands forward this time. Prayer the hands together. Take a big breath in and a full breath out. Your next inhale, begin to draw a line across the left hand, the left forearm, and the upper arm across the chest. Slowly watch your hand as it reaches back behind you, coming into a twist. And then taking that right hand all the way back to the beginning once again. Draw a line up across the arm, across the chest. Watch your hand as it reaches back. Coming all the way back to beginning. Using your inhale to draw that line across the arm, chest, reaching back through the hand. Your exhale brings the hand back to center. One more time. Draw a line across the arm, chest, reach back through the hand. Slowly reach that right hand back and return the hands to the floor. Squeeze your back leg straight, palms to the mat, step your right foot back. And pausing here. Shift your weight into your right foot. Slow rise of the left leg, bend your knee, round your spine, knee towards nose, left foot to left thumb, landing your back knee. Coming back up to stack ribs over hips, hips over the back knee. Stretch the arms forward. Prayer the hands together in front of the heart, but pointing the fingers straight away from the chest. We know where we're going this time. Take one more breath in and a full breath out. Use your next inhale to draw a line across the arm, chest, reach out through the left fingers. Exhale, return the left hand to the right hand. Inhale, draw a line across the arm, the chest, reach out through the fingers. Exhale, left hand returns to right. Inhale to open up through the arms and chest. Exhale to close. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. Return your hands back to the floor. Squeeze your back leg straight, palms to the floor. Left foot steps back. And lowering back down through the shin bones. Keep your inner thighs and inner shin bones together. Untuck your toes. You could walk your hands a little further ahead from the shoulders if you like. And then just begin to tick-tock the hips from side to side. Just slowly shifting the hips from one side to the other. And you can let them get a little heavier towards the floor with every successive motion. And the next time you come towards the right side, come all the way down onto your hip. From here, you can take your left fingertips in front of you, And then walk your right hand just a little further forward. So the hand is well ahead of my shoulder. And from here, I'm going to let my shoulder ride up towards my ear as I let my right rib cage hang down towards the floor. There's an active squeeze in my left side body as I open up the rib cage on the right side. And really focus the breath into that right side of the ribs. 2 more breaths here. And return your left hand to the floor, coming back up to your kneeling shape with the hands ahead of the shoulders. And then sway your hips all the way over to the left side. And I'm just going to pull my shirt so you can really see what my rib cage is doing. There's a lot of side bend happening here. So left hand is ahead of the shoulder. Let the shoulder ride up towards the ear as you let your left side ribs hang down towards the floor and the right side body squeezes. So I'm drawing my right hip towards my right armpit and creating space between my left hip and my left armpit. And then allow that left shoulder to ride up, focusing the breath into the right side of your ribs. Two more breaths here. And return your right hand to the floor, bring your legs back and your hips back to center. Once again, you could take blocks under your hands for this next shape. So my knees are a little further back, so my hands are a little further ahead of my shoulders. And then I'm going to cross my right knee over my left. And that might need, some people might need to really assist their leg over top, and that's okay. You can then really hug your inner thighs towards each other and really snuggle that left knee up and in behind the right. Take just a few rounds of cat-cow here. Inhale, cow, lifting up through the tail, lengthen the belly, heart reaching forward. Really draw the shoulder blades down the back. Exhale to cat, rounding the spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow to stay. Stay lifted and spread through your sit bones. And then once again, we'll find that forward and back rocking action through the hips. As I come forward, I'm getting heavier into my right knee. My left knee might lift right off the floor, or maybe not, just depends. And then as I shift back, my left knee gets heavy and my right knee lifts off the floor. And once again here, just trying to keep a little bit of lift and length through the upper back. So as I shift back, some days I might teach to really round over the leg, but for this thoracic mobility focus, we want to keep that a little bit of extension through the upper back, because although our upper back doesn't have a huge amount of natural extension, it is the rounded part of our back, and we do need that rounded curve. For many of us, especially right now, we're getting a little too much rounding through the upper back. So just strengthening those muscles that like to keep the spine erect by keeping your chest reaching forward is important here. We'll take 2 more forward and back shifts through the hips. And then get heavier into your front shin, unravel the legs, and we'll switch sides. So left knee crossing over the right. begin to take a couple rounds of cat-cow here. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. It's always so fun to really notice, you can continue moving here, to really notice all the different ways that we can cat-cow, or essentially flex and extend the spine, and how just the subtle shifts in our hands, our legs, our hips, our shoulders can change that sensation and that motion through the body. So it's really fun to experiment with some of these different motions and put them together in fun ways. And coming back to your more neutral spine, begin to lift up just a little and spread out through the sit bones, and then begin to rock forward and back. Keep your chest reaching forward. Again, getting heavier in my front knee as I come forward. I'm getting heavier in my back knee as I shift back. And the next time you come forward, get heavier into your front knee, unravel the back leg, and then you can walk your knees further forward, come to sit back onto your heels. I'm going to turn my body around to face away from you for this next one so you can really see what's happening through my spine. Hopefully I'm talking loud enough. Okay. So sitting back onto your heels, again, put a cushion or a rolled up towel between your hips and heels if needed. Take a sweep of the arms wide to the side, lift the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Interlace your hands, press up through the hands, and then wag your tail to the left as you press your hands to the left, stretching out your right side body as you shorten up through the left side once again. 2 breaths here. And then come back through center, wag your tail to the right, push the arms to the right, really press out through the heel of your left hand, squeeze your right side body. 2 breaths, sending the breath into your left side waist and ribs. Coming back to center. And then from here, tuck your tail around your spine, push the hands forward. I'm going to turn back so I'm side long. Finding that cat shape once again. The tailbone reaches back. Heart begins to lift up, arms begin to lift up, look forward. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, cow. Arcing and finding that extension through the spine. Exhale, flexing through the spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, back to your neutral spine. And you can spin your shins off to one side. Come down onto your back. Open up the arms into a nice letter A type shape once again. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and actively press the right knee away from you. And then here, just a little tiny shift from side to side. Not a full-on windshield wiper swish through the legs, but just enough to unwind the lower back, massage out the hips a little. Coming back to center, round your spine into the floor a little, and then draw the knees closer towards your chest. Interlace your hands around your left hamstring. Pause here to breathe. You can put a little more pressure into the right inner thigh. Making sure to keep the feet flexed and active. Release the grip of your hamstring, keeping ankle and knee together. Take your arms into a letter T shape this time, and then sway your legs all the way over to the left. You could place something like a bolster or a rolled up blanket alongside your thigh if you don't want this much sensation, or let the sole of the foot come to the floor, reach down with your left hand for your right ankle, and then press the knee away from you as you breathe into the right side body. Release the grip of the ankle. Let the legs come back to center. Unravel the legs. Pause for a moment and just sense the body from right to left, especially the lower body. Just feel what you're feeling. Crossing the left ankle over the right knee. Begin to find that little bit of a shift from side to side. Again, not full on swaying all the way over to one side or the other, but just enough to unwind the lower back, massage the hips, open up the inner thigh. And begin to sway your leg back to center, keeping ankle and knee together, round your low back into the floor. Draw the legs close to you, interlace your hands around your right hamstring, and then push your left forearm into your left inner thigh. Pausing here to breathe. Feet are staying nice and flexed. Focusing the breath into that left hip. Releasing the grip of your right hamstring, let the right foot come to the floor, ankle and knee stay together. And this time, sway your legs all the way over to the right side. So the sole of your left foot comes to the floor. You can reach down with your right hand for the left ankle, and then press the knee away from you. Send your breath into the left side hip and waist. Slowly releasing the grip of your left ankle. Take the legs back to center. Unravel the legs. And then just again pausing here, sensing the body from right to left. Drawing the knees in towards your chest for a moment. Finding just a little rock from side to side. You could take happy baby here. Or just stay in stillness with knees to chest. Any other little movements that you like to complete your practice with, go ahead. And then just releasing the feet back onto the floor. You could Walk the feet wide, keep the knees together, and take Ardha Shavasana, or extend the legs long for your full Shavasana. Completely letting the body go. Letting the thoughts to settle towards the back of the brain. Allowing the head to rest a little heavier. Arms and shoulders to ground into the floor. Mid-back and rib cage soften and get heavy. Hips getting heavier. Thigh bones getting heavier. Shin bones, feet, and toes relaxing completely. Stay here in your Shavasana for as long as it feels good. I really encourage extra long Shavasanas right now. So you can continue on, just pausing the video here, or if you would like to come out, walk your feet in, roll to one side, press yourself up. Coming to sit in an upright seat. Prayer the hands at your heart. Thank yourself for practicing. Namaste.